Now I am going to have a tier list for you all. I'm going to pretty much give you guys my perspective as a GM that predominantly solo queued, that didn't really have a ton of experience in hero shooters or whatever the genre is called, but taking a liking to the game, and want to give everyone my perspective as a sort of outsider that isn't a big Overwatch guy or anything like that in the community. So starting off with strategists or healers, some would say, and we'll start with Cloak and Dagger. I think Cloak and Dagger is really good character to pick up early, especially if you're just starting out. But I will put her as A. To be completely honest, unlike a lot of the other tier lists, I'm going to be sort of trying to use as many spaces as possible. I want to separate them to allow people to know who's really the cream of the crop first, just bunching 20 people on one tier. But with that being said, Cloak and Dagger, very strong character. Overall, just able to pump out raw healing numbers, almost unmatched to most characters. Very basic. Lock on target heals. A bubble that's extremely strong, as survivability, all sorts of stuff. Just really good character. If you're learning a strategist or want to get into a strategist, he would probably be the first one I would start with. The next would be Adam Warlock. I think he's a good character. I think the 1.5 season update was really good for him. I think he's for sure a secondary healer. You cannot heal as a primary healer with him, and that's why I have to rank him this low. His soul bond's really good. If you're playing against dive and you have soul bond, you can pretty much eliminate a dive. But he's very skill dependent. You're going to have to be very offensive, and you're going to have to pretty much get kills. If you can't aim, he's not the best character. He's very difficult, and he's not a character that I would just say you can pick up if you've never played before. Adam Warlock mains are a different breed. They live, eat, breathe, sleep Adam Warlock. So if you're going to get into him, I would say you've got a long road ahead for you. Now for Loki, I think Loki by far is the best healer in the game. Very strong offensively. He can use his 3 clones, do a ton of damage, do a ton of healing. His ult, most versatile ult in the game. He can pull a Luna Snow ult or a Cloak and Dagger ult, whoever, as a good support ult, or even use it aggressively, go after, let's say, a Star-Lord ult, get a team wipe, whatever it may be. And people have been doing cheesy stuff like double Bucky ults and just resetting, killing entire teams. He's just extremely versatile, extremely strong. His totems are whatever they are that are invulnerability, basically another ult. Can go in Viz for however long he wants. He's just really strong. Jeff. I think Jeff is one of the worst healers in the game. His output, he can put out some really good heals. His bubble is one of the strongest heals in the game. Numbers wise, he can crank out some heals. Issue is to play Jeff properly, you have to be really aggressive on offense, and you're pretty much living in the enemy team's back line if you're playing well. And you're really a duelist. You're not really a strategist, in my opinion, with a good Jeff. Got to be a 3 heal, so it makes it a little more difficult to play because you're going to try to play him, and everyone's going to expect you to heal. It's not really how Jeff plays, and that's another issue for Adam Warlock and Loki to an extent. I wouldn't say as far with him. Adam Warlock, you have to have a primary healer with you. Loki, you definitely want a primary healer with you just so you can steal their ult. Now, to what many believe is the strongest healer in the game, Luna Snow. Snowflake insane. Her clap's insane. Her freeze is insane. It's just a really strong character. Only reason I'll say for at least GM and under, she can be a little bit hit or miss. She's an aim character. If you don't have good aim, she's a little more difficult. If you don't have good aim, just throw Cloak up there and call it a day. But she's so good. If you can figure her out, her ult is probably the best healer ult in the game, in my opinion. It lasts forever. It's the one you would want to copy with Loki. And sort of just rock out and listen to your Latino music. Next up is Mantis. This is good. I wouldn't say great. I'll actually move them up to B. I think you'll see why I moved them up in a little bit, but Mantis, I think, is another very good healer. She's more capable of being a main healer than Adam Warlock, so I might swap them like that. Reason I like her a little bit more than Adam, her ult is a pretty decent, not the greatest healing ult. She can use it and save her team for the most part. Issue with hers is it's not that strong. You can kill through it fairly easy. You can ult through it, all sorts of stuff. And then for her, she's a very skill-intensive healer. If you cannot get headshots, you're not going to be able to heal with her well. And if you're not really mechanically inclined, I would not recommend play her. But she's got cool things like her damage amp and stuff like that, so do what you wish with that. Next up, I think Invisible Woman is borderline S tier. I could say she's up there, but for purposes, I'm trying to keep them 2 in a row or less. And I think she is the 3rd best healer in the game. I think whenever one of these 2 are banned, you pick her, and you don't really care. You can also pick Cloak. It's not an issue, but her utility is insane. I think her ult is the weakest out of the 3 between Luna, Cloak, and Invisible Woman. But she has so much utility from her push to her pull. Her little orb that sort of sucks everybody in and makes it difficult for characters like Wolverine to even play. She can go invisible, makes it difficult to kill her, and then her shields are just strong. Her DPS is strong. She's just a strong character. Really strong support. The more mechanical players will really like her. There's just so much you can do with her. And there's so much I would say a large skill gap between a good Invisible Woman and a bad Invisible Woman. From using your shields, pulling your shields, not pulling your shields here, pushing a tank, pulling a DPS in, being able to essentially make a dive almost useless, pushing out a strange using his ult. There's so much tech with her that is not even finished being untapped, but she's just so strong. If you want to learn a consistent healer that's not getting banned, it's probably my number 1 go-to. She just doesn't get banned. She's really strong. Her team-ups don't cause her to get banned either, like Luna. Luna's with Namor, insane. Loki's with Hela. Doesn't really cause him to get banned, but he's just really strong. You don't want to deal with it. And then last one, the most controversial of the bunch. For ease of play, he is king. However, for reality, he's pretty mid. Rocket, the king of right click, just heal, bot away, can't really die if you're playing decent, has ways to climb up walls, jetpack away. His res beacon's really good, I would say. That's probably his best ability in this kit is his res beacon. He can borderline turn fights having a mini Adam Warlock ult. But he just can't be a primary healer. For the most part, all these guys except Loki, I would say are definitely heavy primary healers. You can have them in any one of these guys and be just fine. Rocket, if you have a Rocket and Adam Warlock, you're just dead. You're not gonna live. You're gonna lose that game, probably 9 times out of 10. His ult also isn't the greatest in comparison. You want to be able to sort of sustain with a lot of healer ults. There's a bunch of tech that probably needs to be figured out with Rocket and his ult, whether it be like Venom getting a one-shot off his ult, Punisher getting a whole lot of damage with infinite ammo off his ult, being able to kill through some supports. But it's just not impactful enough to leave him as one of the top healers. Even Adam Warlock's, his res can alter the entire game potentially. It's just not good. It's just not good enough to be a higher tier character. So, following our strategist, we'll get into our tanks. So, with these, they are going to, or I guess our Vanguards. I'm going to put the top tier guys are always going to be guys that can solo tank. If you cannot solo tank, you are not going to be S tier. With that being said, though, we'll start off with a thing. He's difficult to grade. I think he's really strong. He's really strong into certain comps. Wolverine struggles into him just because you can't kidnap him. But I think he will settle at B for now. I think he's sort of in the middle of the pack when it comes to tanks. He's very strong. He can dive backlines. He can get out. Very mobile. His punch is really strong. Can break through shields, stuff like that. There's just not, in my opinion, the solo tank potential with him. Can it be done? Yes. Comfortably, I wouldn't say so. Thor, I think he's going to fall in line with the thing. I personally think he's a little bit better. My experience running into Thor is he's capable of running an entire lobby. His Ruined Awakening getting an update to where it's borderline able to be off cooldown is insane. He's able to just pump out ridiculous damage numbers. Super strong. His mobility is solid. He can punch people into your team, punch people off the map if he's a really good Thor. His ult does suck, in my opinion. It leaves a lot to be desired. It can kill, but it's one of the weaker ults in the game, in my opinion, when it comes to Vanguards. Next up is going to be Groot. Groot's a difficult one for me, but I think he's an A. And the reason I say that is, unlike Thor, I think he does also do great damage. If you're a good Groot, you know how to wall properly. Gives you a little bit of mobility to get high ground sometimes. You can block off tanks from healers, healers from tanks, whatever you want. Isolate players, and just do a ton of damage. But what separates him from Thor, in my opinion, is his ult. His ult is insane. It enables so many combos. Whether it's Groot, Moon Knight, Groot, Psylocke, Groot, Namor, Groot, anything. You use Groot and something else, you're killing almost anything. That's why I gotta put him there. Does have issues with characters like Wolverine and Bucky. You can pull them, and you're probably just gonna die. But other than that, he's very strong. Captain America, I think his buff was good. I do not think he's a bad character, but I do think he's worse than these guys. When it just comes down to it, he's probably the most mobile tank in this game other than Venom. He's annoying. He can stall points what seems like forever. But he just doesn't do a ton of damage. He's sort of a mosquito, a pest. He just runs around, gets on the back line, delays points. But he just doesn't create enough pressure if your team knows what they're doing. Peels it all for the healers. And his ult is next to Thor's. It's horrible. It's a support ult, sort of. But you're doing nothing. It's worthless. Alright, now for Strange. flat out cream of the crop when it comes to Vanguards. Can solo tank, not many can do it. Burst damage, insane. Ult, insane. Survivability, insane. Mobility, insane. Such a strong Vanguard. Him being able to one-shot squishies. His ult also allows him to do insane things with Agamotto into his little explosion. He's just a really, really strong character that if you aren't careful can just swing an entire game. Even his portal gets you on point. It's borderline an ult caliber ability that's just on a cooldown. One of the best tanks in the game. There's not really much else to say. Beast. So next up is Hulk. Hulk is a really good Vanguard. I think he took a little bit of a hit with the gamma changes, but he's still super, super strong. I think, without a shadow of a doubt, he's one of the best secondary tanks in a sense of he's able to dive backlines, bubble his team. His ult is solid. He's just very mobile, very threatening tank, especially when played properly. He's a beast. Do I want him as my main tank? Not really, just because how often he's moving around. It's kind of hard to deal with that. But he's still super strong. Love seeing Hulk. One of the better tanks in the game. Sorry about the little cuts. I got two little puppies that decided they wanted to be monsters, so had to deal with that. But now we're back on schedule. Next up is Penny. Easily worst tank in the game, in my opinion. She sucks. Killer Mines, she's worthless. Her little snare, her web shoot thing is cool, I guess. Can interrupt some ults. If someone's out of position, you can kill them. People say she is a dive counter. I just think she sucks. I see her, if I'm dive, I really could care less. Guess she can do stuff on defense. She's very niche. Ult also miserable, awful, bad. Now another big boy. Magneto. Another monster. Can solo tank his butt off. His shield, really good. Bubble, really good. Especially being able to bubble teammates. Teammates doing ults. Whatever. If someone's about to die, someone's getting dove. Bow. Bubble. Life saved. Really good for solo tanking. His burst, surprisingly strong. Auto, right click, auto. Can kill a lot of squishies. His issue is he's really slow, in my opinion. Not a lot of mobility. But you can get away with it. And then his ult's really strong if you know how to use it. Can kill through cloak and dagger ult. Fairly easy if you're accurate. And then he counters a lot of DPS ults, whether it's a Punisher ult, you're going to have to throw it right away though. It'll counter an entire Star-Lord ult, which is really strong in itself. Just a really good character. And then the last one is Venom. Season E got a pretty significant buff to his ult, in my opinion. Got a little extra damage on it, a little faster recharge. He's strong, but he feels like he's just missing a little bit. He's not as bursty as someone like Thor or Groot, which makes him, I guess, balanced, because if he was that mobile with that amount of damage, it'd be a problem. His backline dive is cool. Can't really frontline tank. Has to be tanked with someone else. His team up with Spider-Man is okay. For him, it does really nothing. For Spider-Man, it's really strong for him. But he doesn't have enough. His ult is solid. It's gotten better. For some reason, every Venom ever to play likes to dive by themselves without a team anywhere near them and use it, which makes it worthless, but it's besides the point. He's a pretty solid dive backline sort of tank. And last but not least, what everyone always is waiting for, are DPS. Bread and butter, money makers, people with the most ego, the carries, all of it. Starting with Hawkeye, seeing some crazy Hawkeyes. Consistently though, they're not the best. A lot of counters. What they counter is air. Air isn't really that great right now. Capable of one-shotting, really strong. Can one-shot through a lot of healer ults. One-shot through a Cloak and Dagger, one-shot Mantis. Can one-shot through Invis, but if you get an Invis bubble, you're probably gonna die. As a Hawkeye, and then Luna, if you break her shield, then you can one-shot her in the head. He's okay though, none too crazy. Bucky, on the other hand, absolutely crazy. One of the strongest characters in the game. If you see a Loki and you're playing Bucky, you get resets for your ult off Loki clones. It's just disgusting. His hook's really good. His every ability he has generates armor. His punch is really good. Tank Buster, Rocket Team is strong. Just insane. He's so well rounded. Some people say he's easy to counter through the metal ranks and into a GM. You don't see it too often. Yeah, he's just insane. Next up is Hela. I think personally, and maybe I just have a PTSD from Hela, especially in Season 0. But she is so strong. Being able to 2-tap from anywhere is insane. Her stun's insane. Her mobility without her shift isn't the greatest. His or her little bird. But with it, she can pretty much has a get out jail free card. Really strong character. Just have to be able to aim and hit heads. You can do that. Really good character. If you can't aim, can't hit heads, don't play her. Another S tier. Wolverine can completely dictate a game. Destroys tanks, makes life miserable. Every tank wants to ban almost all the time. He's one of the most banned characters in the game currently. I think he's a little bit worse than the community thinks. In my opinion, I think he's fairly counterable currently. Characters like Thing counter him. Mag counters him for the most part. Strange can counter him a decent bit. And then you have this character called Invisible Woman, who's a hard counter if it's a good Invis woman. But regardless, he's insane. He's one of the strongest characters you can play with. Next up is Moon Knight. I think his ult nerf hit him so hard. His entire game plan was essentially just generate ult, get kills with ult, generate ult, get kills with ult, onk, maybe get a kill, generate ult, generate ult. Now his ult just isn't good enough to be a character that's only getting value off of it, in my opinion. Are there some good Moon Knights that can get value without it? Yes. But he's one of the worst 1v1 characters in the game. I'm not saying it's a 1v1 game. It is a 6v6, but you've got to be able to win 1v1s as a DPS. Otherwise, you're just worthless, in my opinion. Next up, Psylocke. Absolute beater character. She's pretty much the character I main this season. Very strong, very independent, move very, very well with her 2 dashes. Her invis, increased speed with invis. She has a one-shot combo. Shurikens hit really hard. It's good overall character. Fairly easy to play. Issue is you have to have a little bit of aim, but having a little bit of aim and a little bit of game sense, I would say, and she can be really strong. Black Widow, short, simple, sweet. Not worth playing, in my opinion. If you see her in your lobby, she's either got to be God or she's going to throw. I'm not even going to explain her. Storm. Everyone you see will put her up here. I think the entire community says she's S tier because they also have like a 12 character S tier. I'm not going to do that. I say she's top A. I think she's the break point. I think unfortunately for her currently, she is banned a lot. But I think she's countered by a lot of stuff in the meta, especially Hela. Namor can do a lot of work to her. Star-Lord can do work to her. Spider-Man can do work to her. Even Psylocke. She's, in my opinion, one of the characters with the most counters. Her ult's insane. Her damage output's insane. Her ult generation's crazy. Her team up with Johnny is crazy, but in my opinion, she is not in the category of these guys. For DPS, it's going to be 4-tier category. Probably already know who's going to be up here if it's 4-tier category, but that's what we're doing for DPS. Now for Magic. This one I have a difficult time grading out. I want to say she's an A. I am a Magic fanboy. She's a very fun character to play, very strong character to play, has a consistent one-shot. Her invuln discs are really good. But melee right now just feel bad. Even Wolverine, it sometimes feels bad. She's a very snowball character. If it's going well, it's going really well for Magic. If it's going bad, it's going really bad. So I'll put her here. Her saving grace is her ult is very strong. Can one-shot through healer ults, which is insane. Most can't do it. So the fact that she can do it and continue getting value off it is pretty crazy. Black Panther, another one of those melee characters. He's a dive. I've seen them be played where you think they're the best player in the entire world. I've played against some that are like 0 for 8, and then they're having to switch off. That being said, I'm going to put him in the middle. I think a good Black Panther can get value against most things. I would say he's fairly easy counterable, similar to Wolverine. Thing peels for his team, kind of screwed. Invis Woman plays at all, and you're going after the healers. It's pretty difficult. Same thing with Loki clones. If you have a Loki back there, pops his totems or whatever they're called, gets invuln, your entire push is over. Ult is okay. It's a reset for his dash. Lives off his dashes, but he's a solid character. Nothing crazy. Could be better. Could be worse. I think he's very far behind Magic. That's why I think maybe Magic may have to be an A. But we'll sit here for now. Scarlet Witch. The most popular person to be hated on all last season. Even though she is the easiest character for anyone to pick up and do okay as. If you only play like a Cloak and Dagger, and Cloak and Dagger is banned and you can't heal her for some reason, you aren't healing, may pick her up. But I do think she is better this season than what she was last. Maybe even better than Moon Knight. It's very strong against flyers. She is auto-aim. Being auto-aim is really annoying. If the person you're going against can't hit shots, you're probably going to kill them. Her right click now is more frequently up, so she has a little burst potential. Her ult got buffed with a little bit of armor, so it gets off a little more frequently than it used to. She's still, in my opinion, not a good character. But this guy right here, Namor, yeah, he's going straight S tier. I think he is, if not the best character, second best. The only reason I'll put him second is because really he's unlocked by Luna Snow. His third squid being the little ice squid, insane. One of the strongest team ups in the game. But to be this high, you have to be good without your team up. And I think his power level is just insane even without the team up. 2 squids, a right click and a left click. You can kill anyone borderline instantly. You have a get out of jail free card with a bubble that can be healed in. You can also let your squids kill people while you're in the bubble. Super strong character. Annoying because you have to now deal with his squids instead of tagging people. Now you're dealing with, I guess, pretty much NPCs. So taking a little bit of pressure off stuff. The whale is really strong if you can hit it. Really good. Not team up, but combos with like Groot. It's a really strong character. Really strong character. And his trident having infinite ammo is kind of insane. Him being an infinite ammo guy who somehow has to be able to pull tridents out of thin air over and over is insane to me. When the other characters have like magic they're doing and they don't have to, or they have to reload all the time, but it is what it is. Star-Lord, very close to S tier in my opinion. If you watch the MarvelRivals championships or whatever this past week, Star-Lord was a carry. He was a monster. His ult is insane. There's tech to make it to where can get rid of the initial frames. And get almost 2 extra seconds of ult time with Star-Lord without doing the animation. Super strong character. Invuln phases with his flips. Can pump out some crazy damage. One of the best ults in the game. I think that's all that needs to be said. His mobility is crazy as well. He's just so good. Next up is Iron Man. After a little bit of consideration, I thought Iron Man was going to be somewhere up here. Talking with some people, I think he's down here. I think Iron Man is in a really bad spot. Last season with him and Hulk's Gamma, they were 2 of the most overpowered characters, overtuned characters with their team up in the game. Now he's sort of just a guy. He's not really strong enough to be able to play in the sky against a Hela. You're just going to lose. Namor, probably just going to lose. Star-Lord, just going to lose. Storm, just going to lose. As a Psylocke, I love killing Iron Man. Maybe I haven't played the best Iron Man, or Iron Men, whatever you want to call him, but he just feels weak right now. His ult is really good, though, if you can line it up. Can kill through healer ults. One of the best ways to deal with it in the game right now. But he's lacking something. His mobility is not enough to where you can be flying around and his mobility just isn't enough to where you can be flying around and get away with being that high, I guess. You can't dive down like Human Torch instantly, so he's just sort of a sitting duck. Punisher. He's a sneaky one. He's either top of B or bottom of A. I'll put him bottom of A. Reason for that is Punisher, his team up with Rocket is really strong, but right now he's almost needed for a lot of things. Groot walls, he handles them really well. He's able to deal with squids with Namor really well, and Namor feels like if he's not banned, he's in every game. He's also able to just pump out a ton of damage downrange. His shotgun's also able to deal with tanks, deal with divers. He can one-shot divers in the head. Getting one-shot at Psylocke with a shotgun does not feel good. He's just a solid character. His mobility is a little bit better than people think with his zipline and smoke flare thing. Very strong character. Next up, Spider-Man. Another one of the characters like Black Panther, where I've seen him take over games, especially with the Venom team up. Their one-shot combo becomes really consistent. But I've also seen them be the worst player in the lobby. Especially when, again, you're playing into a Loki, into a Invis Woman, into a lot of things, honestly. Even a Cloak and Dagger, just throw your bubble down and live. With that being said, I think Spider-Man is a B-tier character. I think he's a little bit better than Black Panther. I think he can do a little bit more getting in and out than Black Panther. I think he can pull people off the map, which is really cheesy, but really strong. And his ult is, in my opinion, a little bit better than Black Panther in the sense of it's a big AoE, stuns people, and I feel like it fairly consistently can get a healer or a healer ult pulled. So he's a little bit better than Black Panther in my opinion. Now, Human Torch. He is one of the hardest characters to grade right now just because his damage output is so high. His flame field or whatever, he's constantly putting out damage. Damage. He's able to get his ult over and over and over and over and use it over and over and over and over. My issue with Johnny is he is an ult battery. He just feeds healer ult after healer ult after healer ult after healer ult, and his ult is not strong enough to handle healer ults. I think he may be a situation where it's like Wolverine. People were hoping that for Mr. Fantastic. Didn't happen. Hoping it for Human Torch now. But I think he's a C tier. I think he loses a lot of 1v1s. I think his movement is lacking in a sense of being able to get away. He can get away from the sky. He can dive down, which is better than any flyer's mobility, I'll say. But his little sped up movement just isn't fast enough. He's a sitting duck when he's trying to run away from you. If it's not using a dive to get away, 9 times out of 10 he's a free kill. But his team up with Storm is really good. If you get Storm on your team in your Human Torch, he's probably an A. Storm's easily an S at that point. But to be completely honest, you don't see that team up very often at all. I will say he is worse than Widow, or not Widow, Scarlet, unfortunately. I think I've seen Scarlet's be able to get a little bit more value than him, which is crazy to say. Next up, Squirrel Girl. I think she falls into the same category as Moon Knight and Human Torch, but she has a little bit more kill potential currently. She is a ult battery for sure. She just throws her little whatever bombs down range, almost like in Overwatch, what's his name, Junkrat. She just doesn't have crazy kill potential from the distance that she plays. Up close, she can really cause havoc. Her trap's really good as well. Her ult, if you get it in a tight room or a corridor, can definitely cause issues. but I feel like most of the times the best way a Squirrel Girl dominates or takes over is really just by walking down an area, and there's other characters that can lock down an area by actually just getting a kill versus just saying no, you can't go that way. So Squirrel Girl is good. She's a very easy character to play. Has decent mobility with her little tail jump, but she's not that great in my opinion. There's a lot of better characters. And then we'll just get these two down here. To be completely honest, he can stay down there. He's that bad. So we'll start with Iron Fist. I think he is maybe there. He's sort of a jack of all, but master of none. He does okay damage, not really great. He can dive, but his 1.5 season update sort of made him a tank buster. But you don't want to front line too crazy, but you want to get into the back line, but you can't deal damage to backline people anymore because you're doing percent health damage off of percent health. So it's a disaster for him right now. And his ult is, it's okay. It's nothing to write home about. Mr. Fantastic, don't play him. Do yourself a favor, just don't play him. He's really bad. He's he's a tank or Vanguard duelist. If you're going to be a Vanguard, just play Vanguard. His burst sucks. Does no damage. Ult is one of the most laughable ults in the game. It's funny because he laughs during it. And he's worthless. His team up's not good enough to make him worth anything. Please don't play Mr. Fantastic in my lobbies. I've seen some that can make it work, but the amount of effort it takes to make him work versus the amount of effort it takes to make him work, night and day. They're just not close. But that's it for the tier list. If you have any input, leave a comment. If you liked it, like and subscribe so I can keep pumping out some videos for you all. But that is all from me, and I'm looking forward to seeing what some of you guys have to say about my tier list and my opinion on these guys. Maybe you guys have some tech that I don't know about, and I'll get to learn something today. Maybe it'll help me get out of Grandmaster. But until next time, see y'all later.